Hey everybody, my name's Dr. Scott Giacomucci. I'm the director and founder of the Phoenix Center for Experiential Trauma Therapy in Media, Pennsylvania. I'm a expert in trauma and board certified as a trainer, educator, and practitioner of sociometry, psychodrama, and group psychotherapy. So in this video, I really want to highlight some of the benefits of attending psychodrama trainings and pursuing psychodrama certification. So if you're not familiar with psychodrama, I encourage you to consider some of the other videos on this channel to help familiarize yourself. Psychodrama is an action-based group therapy approach that involves some role-playing techniques and allows us to really externalize and put into action some of the treatment goals that our clients have, rather than simply sitting and talking about it. Many people don't realize psychodrama is actually one of the oldest therapies. It's been around for over 100 years now, and it used to be incredibly popular in the United States in the 60s and 70s. Right now, it's very popular in other countries, and it's starting to become more popular in the United States again for different reasons. And I talk about some of those reasons in some of the other videos on the channel here. So, what are the benefits of attending psychodrama training? So one of the first benefits I want to highlight is learning how to facilitate groups. Psychodrama is primarily a group therapy or group approach, although it can be modified for individual settings using empty chairs or objects to concretize and work with the different roles or parts of self. We primarily use psychodrama in groups. Now, most of us that are counselors, social workers, psychologists, therapists, are expected to facilitate groups throughout our careers, but receive very little or no group work training in our graduate programs. This was actually part of my dissertation, was looking at the decline of group work training, specifically in social work education. That we're learning all these theories and philosophies and individual modalities, and if we're lucky, we might get one course on group work, although it's usually an elective and not even required. And then we enter the field and we're expected to know how to facilitate groups. And many of us are just making it up because we never learned how to facilitate a group. So psychodrama training can really fill in some of those gaps in skills and understanding how to facilitate groups and how to do it effectively, how to do it safely, and how to do it in ways that engage our clients. So, many students, many professionals have a lot of insecurities about facilitating groups, and it's probably largely caused by our lack of training in it. We feel a lot more comfortable working one-on-one with clients because it's what we learned how to do in grad school. And with some training in psychodrama and group therapy, you'll feel much more confident, much more competent, and much less anxious, more creative in facilitating your groups. So the methods, the processes that you'll learn in psychodrama training can be useful in groups of all kinds, not just therapy groups, but also in support groups, in training workshops and training groups, in supervision groups, in social activism, community groups, presentations. If you're presenting at a workshop at a conference, you can use experiential methods from psychodrama to more effectively present the educational content. And these methods can also be useful in organizational leadership and organizational meetings. So they're tools that really can be modified for just about any group setting. Now, one of the things that makes psychodrama unique compared to other modalities that you might train in is that it's an action method. So we don't just sit and talk in psychodrama, and we don't just sit and talk in psychodrama training. So if you go to a psychodrama training or come train with me in psychodrama, you're not going to be stuck listening to a lecture and having a trainer read off a PowerPoint the whole time. There probably won't even be a PowerPoint in most psychodrama trainings. It's all taught in action and it's learned in action. So psychodrama trainings are much more engaging, much more fun, and much more meaningful than many other trainings that we might be accustomed to attending. Because psychodrama is an action method, it allows us to work with our clients in different ways. rather than just sitting and talking. Psychodrama allows us to go beyond words, beyond thoughts, and to really put some of the issues and solutions to issues into action with our clients. Many clients find experiential therapies like psychodrama to be much more engaging, much more fun, and much more helpful. When we think about the ways that trauma impacts our body, impacts our brain and our mind, our sense of self, at levels below thought, below words, beyond words, it makes sense that psychodrama might be really helpful when we're working with trauma. So, psychodrama skills and competencies allow us as therapists, as professionals, to provide more engaging services. I think it's as simple as that, especially for clients that might struggle to be engaged just by sitting and talking. Because psychodrama really emphasizes the importance of healing happening between the group members, and all psychodrama methodologies and theories and interventions really emphasize positioning group members as therapeutic agents for each other, it takes a bit of the role demand off of the therapist, that we essentially put a psychodramatic structure into action, and we provide the containment and ensure safety throughout the process, provide direction, guidance when needed. But throughout the group is the one doing the work. The group members are the ones providing the healing for each other. It's not coming all from the therapist. And so because of that, I find that even though psychodrama sessions can be emotionally intense, I find that they're often less emotionally draining for myself as a practitioner, because the healing is coming between the group members, not just between me and the client. So this is one of the benefits of learning how to facilitate psychodrama, is that it might help prevent burnout and vicarious trauma in that way. Psychodrama philosophies are also very non-pathologizing. So psychodrama theories challenge the medical model, challenge individualism, and really provide more humanistic and person-centered ways of thinking about the client, considering the entire continuum in terms of bio, psycho, social, and spiritual aspects of experience. So psychodrama allows us to conceptualize mental health problems through a non-pathologizing lens, thinking about it in terms of role theory, thinking about it in terms of spontaneity or difficulty warming up to or accessing spontaneity. Another aspect of psychodrama training that's important to highlight is that there's a bit of a secondary gain we get when we attend a psychodrama training. Because it's all experiential, we get to network with folks that are in the training while we're in the training. And it provides an aspect of self-care for us, because we're experiencing the therapeutic benefits of doing psychodrama as we're learning how to do psychodrama. So while psychodrama training events always have to prioritize the training and educational aspect of the event, again, we learn psychodrama by doing it. We learn it from the inside out. So there's lots of personal growth and self-care opportunities within psychodrama trainings. It would not be uncommon, especially in a multi-day psychodrama training event or an ongoing psychodrama training group, for attendees to volunteer to do small pieces of personal growth work as part of the psychodrama demonstrations in the training and in the learning. The difference between psychodrama in a training workshop and psychodrama in a therapy group is that we often will contain the demonstrations to more strength-based topics or more professionally oriented topics. And after the demonstration in a training group, we're going to spend a bunch of time processing the experience through the lens of psychodrama theories, trauma-informed principles, and thinking about how to safely facilitate psychodrama as practitioners. Whereas we wouldn't be doing that in a psychodrama therapy group, of course. Uh, Many psychodrama trainees, psychodramatists, and clients in psychodrama groups really highlight how fun and how playful psychodrama can be as a client or as a trainee. Actually, in one of my research studies on trauma-focused psychodrama, one of the qualitative themes that emerged is that the clients were shocked that they could have fun while doing trauma therapy. And I think many new professionals to psychodrama training are shocked that we can have fun the entire time that we're training and learning how to do psychodrama. So psychodrama training can be lots of fun. One of the benefits of pursuing credentialing in psychodrama is that it can really make you stand out compared to others in the field. Psychodrama training is a big commitment. Of course, you can learn psychodrama techniques and interventions and psychodramatic processes and integrate them into your groups after just 1 or 2 or 3 trainings. But to fully become a psychodramatist is a longer-term commitment. The entry-level credential requires 780 training hours, more hours than my doctorate program. It's a big commitment. It takes a long time. Psychodrama is a really powerful tool, and if you're not careful, you could really hurt somebody with it. Really requires ongoing supervision training to learn how to do it safely and to use it in its entirety. However, after 50 or 100 training hours, most people are at a point where they can integrate psychodrama groups into their practice or can integrate psychodrama into the other modalities that they're providing, into their other groups, into their individual sessions. And many people are able to do that just after 1 or 2 trainings. So there's a whole bunch of professional and personal benefits to pursuing psychodrama training. There's only a couple hundred certified psychodramatists in the United States right now, which means that in each of the 50 states, there's only a handful of certified psychodramatists. I believe in my state of Pennsylvania, there's somewhere between 20 and 25 certified psychodramatists at the time of this video, many of whom are partially retired, or getting close to retirement. And so getting that certified practitioner in psychodrama credential really allows you to stand out, to offer something different that others in the field aren't offering, to make yourself and your service offerings unique. I found in my own personal growth journey and in my own professional development that of all the modalities that I trained in, all of the courses I've taken, all the continuing education, that my training in psychodrama was the most formative, was the most beneficial, was the most holistic, was the most meaningful, and was the most practical and helpful in my actual day-to-day work. So I invite you to consider joining us for psychodrama training. I offer psychodrama training events at the Phoenix Center in Media on a pretty regular basis, and you can find information about upcoming trainings on my website. If cost is the only thing preventing you from coming to a training, reach out to me and we'll figure it out. I want you to come to the training and don't want the cost to be a barrier. Most of the trainings include a mix of folks from out of town and a mix of folks from the local Philadelphia area. So even if you're from out of town, I encourage you to consider coming to the trainings. I invite you to join our psychodrama community, and I hope to provide a training experience as helpful, as meaningful, as useful as the psychodrama training experience that I had myself. So there's various places that you can find psychodrama training. I offer ongoing psychodrama training groups and training intensives at the Phoenix Center, which is in Media, Pennsylvania. Just 15 or 20 minutes from the Philadelphia International Airport, so it's easy to get to. You can find more information about my trainings on my website, and I'll put a link for that in the description below. I really invite you and welcome you to consider attending some of my training offerings. There's also tons of incredible psychodrama trainers around the country and around the world that you might consider training with as well. I'll also put a link in the description below for the American Board of Examiners in Psychodrama for their website, where you can search for a trainer offering workshops wherever you are in the country or in the world. You might also be interested in attending our National Psychodrama Conference, which is hosted by the American Society of Group Psychotherapy and Psychodrama, ASGPP. Every year in March or April, we have our national conference, which changes cities every year. And every fall, September, October, November, we have our online symposium, which is another good place to learn about psychodrama from different experts around the country.